I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 9, and today, oh boy, we get into EnderIO and get ourselves some traveling happening. So I've definitely been on the grind here in All the Mods 9. I've been working on Gregstar, and it's taken quite a bit of time, and also learning time to really dive into this mod. Today, we are going to kind of work on something different. Gregstar is still running, keep that in mind, and it's also still going to help us towards our ultimate Gregstar goal. But today we're going to be diving into EnderIO. Now, why EnderIO, you might ask? Well, it actually has, in my opinion, one of the best ways of moving around in a world, especially around your base. Now, the reason why I think I need to kind of expand on how we move around the base is because this base is going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And so we are going to need a way to get to destinations quicker and quicker. Believe me when I say this, EnderIO has one of the best ways of doing this. But first, before we can make that item, we have to basically go through the entire progression of EnderIO. Well, to at least make it worthwhile. So back to the main base, it is. I'll see you there. Look at that. Immediately back at the old base. Now, even though I'm back at my base, I don't think I want to set up the automation for EnderIO in the base. I think I want to travel to another dimension. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 today. And that new dimension is going to be the Undergarden. Yes, an absolutely depressing place to go visit, but I promise it's kind of neat, and I think it's going to fit perfectly with the EnderIO theme. So does this mean build time? I think it does. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of how we actually get to this dimension. First thing we need to do is make ourselves a catalyst from the Undergarden. This is going to be how we activate our portal. And then we just need stone brick. I believe that is all you actually need in order to gain access to this dimension, is just with some stone brick. So just like this, and you build a portal just like you would a regular portal to the Nether. And then you click your catalyst and that opens up a new portal. A very suspicious portal. The fact that it is green should give you an indication of the type of dimension this place is. It's very dark, distraught, and very underground. So without further ado, into the portal we go. And as our whole screen turns a different color, we are now teleported into a new dimension. Now, I have no idea where we're at in this. Okay, so we're in a cave. Oh, and we kind of, this is kind of the perfect spot, but notice how dark it is in here, and we've entered into the Undergarden. And there are a ton of biomes in this dimension, and I mean a ton of them. So it's definitely worth kind of exploring, and there's also some little cute creatures, but there's also some enemies that reside in this area. There's also a dungeon, and there are some bosses. But keep in mind, I still believe this mod is kind of still under development and has been for a while. But like I said, it does have some pretty places. So I'm going to leave this portal here, but I do want to venture out just a little bit to find just the right place. And if I turn on my night vision, we can see a little bit more of this area, including all kinds of weird stuff that happens. Yeah, I think our hearts are a little broken here, but as that effect wears off, things should return to normal. This is just regular water. Or is it? Like I said, this dimension is kind of crazy, and there is a ton to uncover in this place. But my main goal is to find somewhere nice. As I've covered this mod in the past, definitely recommend checking out Undergarden and ChosenArchitect in YouTube, and you'll probably find a ton of videos where I've covered this. Now, I do have to show this biome. This is a gronglet, and these things are adorable. They just look at you. They're so cute. But you can also, I believe, put them on your head. And if I have my head enabled, yes, it's now on top of our head. It's quite adorable. These kind of remind me of the Twilight Forest lights because you can place them around and they will light up. So if I place them right here, you can see they do take on a different orientation. And they're kind of cute. And you can find them inside of the gronglet growth. It's kind of cute. Just adorable. Also, you might discover some pretty cursed mobs in this dimension, like these friendly brutes. Now, I think I've found just the spot. I really love these like hanging vines that are right here, and then we also have the water here, and the look, when I look right out here, it just looks kind of mystical, and I really like that. So I'm actually going to put myself here in a hole right here, and I am going to use this as a window to be able to see out into this dimension, and this is where our EnderIO stuff is going to reside. So now I am slowly but surely getting this area cleaned up. I've got a window looking out, which is exactly what I want, and I'm slowly starting to build out the center point of this room. And each one of these spots over here is where I'm going to kind of have some EnderIO automation happening. And so I use some shears to grab some of the shimmer weed, and then I'm also going to have some other lights that are going to be lining this floor to fit that EnderIO theme, and I haven't even touched EnderIO yet. So now that I have the build sort of done, I get to go ahead and start placing in the EnderIO machines, and we get to start work on the EnderIO section. Now, I've already technically covered a little bit of EnderIO in a prior episode, but to kind of recap, we need to go down to bedrock level. Now, when I say depths, I mean back in the overworld, or really anywhere that there is bedrock. So long as you have access to some bedrock, just light it on fire. And this is how you're going to get started with EnderIO, getting some grains of infinity, the good old classic way. But there is another way. There's another way you could technically get grains of infinity if you had the resources. If we take a look at how to obtain this, you can see if you hold some flint in your offhand and some deep slate or cobbled deep slate in your main hand, you can shift right click on a block of obsidian, crying obsidian, or a grindstone. Grindstone being one of the easiest ways. And then, yeah, you can produce some early grains of infinity. This process, however, I would say is the way that you would go about automating this process. Because you can just use flint and you can light this on fire. I have done this way back in the day when EnderIO was very popular in almost every mod pack. Yeah, you could basically just have some vanilla mechanics just igniting this block, and then you could actually detect if a grain of infinity or if the fire was there. And yeah, you could have it reignite as soon as the fire went out. Now, a lot of the EnderIO stuff that I'm about to get into, it all has essence and seeds for, which is what I will be eventually making. I'm going to go ahead and get all of the base processes done. And I should be able to make all of these different kind of alloys. That's the big thing in EnderIO, is making all of these alloys. And they're all made inside of an alloy smelter. And so I should be able to, and I think I have already made an alloy smelter at some point, but to make the frame, it's very simple. But the alloy smelter is what's going to allow us to really do everything in this pack, or everything in this mod. So I just got to get this made real quick, and we just need to get it nice and automated. So let me grab that. We just need to request some furnaces, and voila, there we go. A little bit of crafting out of the way, and I now have myself a alloy smelter, which I can just place right here and prepare it for automation. Now it's automated. All I need to do is place an iron crafter on top, have an importer on the bottom, and then configure the sides. This actually allows me to set this to furnace and alloy mode, and it's a pretty fast furnace. It does smelt 3 things in one process, but under the alloy mode is what I want it to be under, because we're just going to be processing alloys. And then the IO configuration is kind of cool. It reminds you just of the same kind of IO that for example, the Gregstar stuff has, right? So this is very much the same in the same line. So we're going to have this set to make sure it can pull. It will auto insert, I believe, into here. And then we're going to have this set to send out. So we just need to make sure this is set to push the way the output is accessible. And then we got to do this. So we've got to put capacitors in here. These machines will not work without capacitors. So that's where I kind of want to get the grains of infinity automated. And the easiest way is to make mystical agriculture seeds for this. So now the fun part of diving into the classic bit, now that I got that all set up, of just making sure I'm getting these crafting recipes in place to be able to send to that crafter. So I should be able to put all of these patterns in here, and now I can make just about any alloy. But I'm still missing the things I need to be able to make, for example, the travel anchors, which is ultimately what I'm after, and also the staff of traveling. That's what I'm making today. Now, I would be basically done if I was just making the travel anchors themselves, as this just requires some conduit binder, which is quite simple to craft and quite simple to make, which is what you would use to make, for example, EnderIO cables, which are still in the works, by the way. The whole EnderIO mod in this version is still in the works. But the pulsating crystal, pretty straightforward. It's just pulsating alloy nuggets, which are very easy to make. Where it gets a little bit more challenging is making the Staff of Traveling, because this requires an Ender crystal. Not as easily automatable, and we probably are not going to automate it. We're just going to craft this. It requires a filled soul vial of Enderman, so we have to capture that inside of a soul vial, which means we need Solarium, which is pretty easy to get in its own. But we also need the soul binder. The soul binder does require all of these individual crafting components. It also requires a Z-Logic controller, and this is basically getting all the way through all of the machinery parts of EnderIO. And this requires you to have a zombie head. It also requires you to have an axe and shears. And this is how you get that Z-Logic controller from a slice and splice. And the slice and splice itself requires you to have the insulated chassis, which just requires more of that Solarium. So a lot of Solarium. You also need a lot of the energized alloy, or energetic alloy, and all of that fun stuff, and heads. You do need heads for this. That is just to be able to craft the Staff of Traveling, which the reason I want this is because I can place down travel anchors, and then I can use the Staff of Traveling to basically look at them in a distance and immediately teleport to them. And that's where I said that this mod has an amazing way to teleport compared to a lot of other mods. Oh, I've got a lot of auto crafting ahead of me, and I thought Greg was bad. Reminding me of the days of old, getting back into some more of the EnderIO, because EnderIO was from several years ago, and I feel like the kind of environment around modded Minecraft has definitely shifted a little bit, and there's no longer like a lot of the mods have kind of removed this whole micro crafting sort of mechanic. They kind of have gone to the wayside with it, which I don't mind. I really don't. Oh, by the way, another thing that we're going to want is this fuse quartz. Now, there's a lot of different glass types in EnderIO, and they all kind of have some weird quirk related to them. But the main thing is this fuse quartz, which is going to be 4 nether quartz, and that makes 1 of them. So something to keep in mind whenever we start to make future crafting recipes. We probably want some of this in the inventory, so it makes sure that it uses the kind that we already have in storage. Now, something to note, I haven't put a capacitor in here yet, but if you've gotten lucky like I have, you might have found some capacitors through loot. So if I do EnderIO, if I can spell correctly, you'll see these loot capacitors. These loot capacitors are insanely powerful. And if you find any that have a base modifier of 3 or more, then it's already going to be more powerful than the octadic capacitor, which in this current version is the top tier. So I do have one that's like 8, 3.95, I think is my best one. So this, when it goes in, will smelt things insanely fast. It's pretty good. Now I should be ready to craft the Z-Logic controller. This is going to allow me to be able to make the next machine. And I've already got the slice and splice now made. So this needs an axe and a shear in the top slot. And then we just need to simply put the ingredients in, and that's ready to go. And that will get us a Z-Logic controller. It's literally that simple. So now that I have this, I should now be able to make the next machine, which is a soul binder. So if I go ahead and request all of the different ingredients for the soul binder, that should start processing. This is why I love automation, by the way. It's just so nice that we can just do this on demand like this. But yes, I could technically make all of this this alloy into essences. I just still don't know if I want to do that. Why did I choose this dimension? This sounds so weird going on outside. Okay, so the soul binder. We should be able to put this together. Make sure we got the last thing ready to go. And that should be good. There it is. So it's going to use that Z-Logic that we just made. And now we have the last component basically ready to go. We just put that loot capacitor in, so we don't have to worry about any capacitors. Oh, it's looking good. We have this like in the wall. I'm really liking this. So now I just need to make the vibrant crystal, which uses that vibrant alloy, and I need to make myself an ender crystal. So I do need to capture an enderman inside of a soul vial. So time to go enderman hunting. And boop. There we go. It's just as simple as right-clicking, and then I have now everything I need just like that. So that was pretty straightforward. So this goes here, and then this is going to go into this. Now it does say I need 6 levels. And I remember this in the past, it was able to pull the levels off of me as the player, but it doesn't seem like it works that way this go around. So to be able to get my XP in here, I could go about it, I think, a couple different ways. And I'm not sure if EnderIO will allow me to use my experience that I already have, for example, from an experience crystal, to be able to put into this. I think what it's actually wanting is the experience pylon from itself. You know what? What I'm going to end up using is the XP obelisk here. This is the one from EnderIO, and I should be able to place it right here. Now, keep in mind the blocks are a little bit weird in how they kind of look right now. So yeah, this might end up changing in the future for this mod, but it still works the same as just like the other one we were playing around with. I can go ahead and store the levels in here, and I believe inside of the settings, I can pull in the experience levels. And so that will then allow this to function. So there we go. We basically have set it up, and now I have the experience flowing in from this, just a couple of levels I put in there. And now we have ourselves an Ender Crystal and everything I need at this point to make the really cool teleporty bits. So now I can just make the travel anchor pattern, and we are ready to now make some travel anchors. But I'm still missing one thing. I need to also turn this into the Staff of Traveling. So I'm going to need some dark steel, and there we go. Now it is the Staff of Traveling. This can do a couple of things, which is really, really cool. And I should have made this a long time ago. It allows me to teleport through blocks, which is really powerful in itself. You can just straight up teleport through a wall. That's amazing all in its own right. But this is going to allow me to immediately travel to these travel anchors. So let's get some of those set up. So let's head back into our LV processing area. I really don't know what to fully call it, but I'm going to go ahead and place the travel anchor in here. Now this should have some configuration options, including a slot where we can put, for example, items. So really, what would be a cool item to kind of put in here? I don't really know just yet. Maybe something LV related from our GregTech setup. So let's see. Why not like a regular tin cable, maybe? It seems kind of weird to have this in here. It is going to be a dark block, but we can just put that technically in here, and we could call it LV and leave it at that. I think that's just fine. And if I hold this wand, you can now see that I can see this through blocks. So you can travel from travel anchor to travel anchor, but using this wand is really nice because we can be anywhere and not be at that location, and I can still straight up see it and teleport straight to it. And that is what made this whole thing worth getting. Oh, it's so good. Now, another cool thing about just using this Staff of Traveling is whenever we hold down Shift, it'll actually show us where it's going to teleport us. And it does allow us to sort of teleport to that location we're currently looking at, almost like using an Ender Pearl, right? So you can travel very fast from one location to another just by using this staff. But the fastest way is to set up the anchors and immediately teleport to locations like that. Oh, this is going to make this perfect. So yeah, you can't beat this. I now have my AE2 network, for example, right here. And I could put an AE2 network one on all of these sides. I think that would be fine whenever we start to branch out. So that way I can always see it right here from the center and know this is the main room right here. But I can just teleport to the steam room. Let's say I need to go to the LV area. Oh, it's just so nice. This is so much better than walking around, because who likes to walk? Not me. Now, if the painting machine was fully functional, we could also paint these to look like the other blocks around it, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the painting machine is working. I did test it out. It is implemented into the pack. It's just not, or updated in the mod, but it's just not ready yet from what it seems. Or maybe that one block just can't be painted. Now, with all this said, I am looking forward to what this mod updates to. Like, I am looking forward to seeing how it sort of grows and develops over the next couple of years as it continues to update into the newer versions. And hopefully it does still continue to get maintained. That is something I'm really looking forward to, because this mod is one of my favorite mods. I just miss it. It's been missing since, well, 1.12. And so that's been several years. And I'm really, really glad to see it slowly working its way back into current modern day modded Minecraft. And well, with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And well, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter that makes this all possible happen. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Big Cheesus. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. Can't do it without you guys. Thank you so very much. And I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.